All right. How's it going, everybody? Hopefully that hopefully I've adjusted the camera this time to where it's not too crappy of quality. I turned it around. I've been using the iPad facing camera, and I've had people say, "Oh, it's not HD. You got to get your HD videos back." And I got to say I can't. All right. I got my computer's broken, and I do the best I can with what I'm given. In the past, I've used crappy cameras. Hopefully this one turns out somewhat decent. Not that it should matter, the HD or not, because really it's just the message I'm trying to convey. I don't really care if I'm HD or not. I, I wanted to ask the question of what it means to be strong. What does it mean to be, and I was thinking what it means to be a man, but that's not really what I'm after here, is what does it mean to be strong as a man? And I'm only saying as a man because I'm not a woman, so I can't ever get into a woman's shoes to see what it feels like, nor can I be in any other man's shoes, obviously. But as a man, I have to speak for being a man, because men and women think differently. So what it means for a woman to be strong and a man to be strong are different and same at the same time, and many similarities and many differences. I was wondering to myself, what exactly being strong entails in today's world. Now, in past generations, there was a consensus about what it meant to be strong, or a man, whatever. And I guess what that was you go to school, you get a career, you support your family, you die. And that's pretty, I know that sounds grim, but that's kind of the way that the world seems to have worked, of course, from a perspective of looking at history. I know it's more than that, and I know that each individual life, obviously, people sought amazing things, even more so than today, that great philosophers, great thinkers, storytellers. People weren't just living a mundane life, is what I'm saying. There were a lot of people doing a lot of great things. But for still, even then, as an individual, to ask yourself, what does it mean to be strong? Let's put it this way, as a kid, when you're a kid, if you were to ask a kid, what is being strong? And they say, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be strong. And they think it's a physical trait. This man is strong, he has muscles. That's what it means to be strong. And we carry that up until we become adults, and then we start to realize that strength is in being able to function in the world and to support ourselves and to make enough income, because we're forced into making income. I know a lot of people are opposed to money, the monetary system, but really, it's just what humans use. It's it can't. We could go to trade. I guess you could look at money as a trade system, to where it's, you have a temporary, it's a promissory note, and it's become a total chaotic nonsense. But I'm not talking about the money system we have in play, but rather money itself. That being strong in the past meant that you had enough money to support your family because you were strong-minded enough to develop a career or a path, whatever. This was for some people, not for everyone, of course. But I guess what I'm getting at is, as you get older, you even go beyond that. You say, wait a minute, no, strength is not about money. Strength is not about supporting anyone. Strength is about character and knowing who you are. And so then the more you delve into that, the more you feel confident about knowing who you are. And then one day, you realize that you really don't know who you are. That, from the inside, we can feel that we know who we are, but the way that we're perceived by the outside world is a completely different animal altogether. So, in today's world, if you will, in today's society, with all the information that has come out through the last, say, 30 years, through, mostly the last 25 years through the internet. The internet's just an amazing thing. It's totally turned everything on its head. It's changed the way that we interact with one another and with the world. Kids growing up today, that's all they know. But for us, it was like a transition, into a different way of interacting. And so we started getting all these new awarenesses and ideas about what's really going on in the world. And then all of a sudden we realized that being strong didn't necessarily mean being an independent person. It meant seeing what's going on and fighting for what's right. So strength becomes fighting for justice, or speaking your mind, being a strong-willed person. And then people take it too far, to where strength becomes such an asset, such a virtue to the person, that they assume that they always have to be right, and that showing a flaw or inconsistency or changing your mind is considered a weakness to a lot of people. And in politics, they call them flip-floppers. And I actually, a while back, saw an interview with the guy who, it was a Republican from Florida or something, who had changed his mind about cannabis. And they asked him, they said, a lot of people will call you a flip-flopper. You used to be totally anti-pot, and you signed all these bills to keep it out of the medical community. Why did you change your mind now? And he said, because the information that I was given to go on was flawed. And I wasn't aware of that. And once I looked into it a little more, I realized that I was mistaken. And so there's a whole group of people on his side who would say, you are a weak person because you've changed your opinion. But for me, that's like the strongest thing that a person can do, is to say I was wrong. I made a mistake. And it's the single most difficult thing to do. So strength isn't about proving you're better or knowing more than another person, obviously. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about how many kids you have or how great of a parent you are. It's a matter of all these things combined. If a person bases all their strength, let's say, on how they raise their kids, I'm the greatest parent, well, your kids are going to leave home and you're going to still have to be a strong person by yourself, It's a codependency we have, not with our kids, with our parents, husbands, wives, friends. And, I'm in there with everybody else, I need company. I have more strength when I'm with other people. I feel stronger when I'm with family and friends. It's, I guess it comes down to me to being independent is very important for people to be able to be independent. But when you start to really look at yourself, you realize that as humans we need conversation, we need friends, family, and I know a lot of folks would say, I don't need that, I'm happy alone, and that's fine for them, because I'm not saying that every person does, but I think that it's one of those things that helps us to be stronger. I'll finish this on the husband and wife tip. I made a video the other day about heroes, and somebody said his wife was his hero. And that really hit home with me, because I realized that I have been taking that for granted, as just like when people say, who's your best friend? I've said, oh, my buddy so-and-so. And somebody would say, what about your wife? I'd say, oh, well, of course she's my best friend. But I just don't even think about it, because it's just, we live together, we've been together. It's easy to take for granted. So I have to think about it again and say, well, no, actually my wife is my best friend, and she is my hero. A great mom and a great wife. And so we overlook these things because we become so used to having them. And I wanted to say, as a husband and wife, if you are married, the most important thing to keep you strong, to keep your strength up, is to not give in to somebody who's trying to either change you to be something else, or to not just sit and passively deal with somebody who's abusing you. Because I have friends who have dealt with women who treat them like shit, and I know women who have men who treat them like shit as well. It goes both ways, it goes all ways, and usually they will sit and pick at details about, oh, so-and-so doesn't do the dishes, or, well, you never do this, or you never do that, and it usually comes down to a bigger picture of they're just not compatible, and both of their strengths are being zapped by having an uncomfortable relationship. If you don't want to go home and see your husband or wife, that's a big problem, because those are supposed to be your best friends, somebody you're supposed to want to be with. Maybe not always, but hopefully most of the time, because we all need our alone time, but, for example, my wife's in the house right now, and I'm out here making my video. I have my routines, my things I do, but without her, I would be lost. It would take me a long time to recover my sanity if I didn't have my family. So, Boy, I hope this thing's recording. Oh good, it is recording. Sometimes I've made an entire video and then I found out I pushed the wrong button and it never recorded. I'm just like, dude. So, you know, I guess to sign off here, do I consider myself a strong person? Sure. Do I have weaknesses? Of course. And I want to work on those weaknesses while embracing my strengths. So I'm not beating myself up over what I could do, you know, or should have done, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and nor am I just accepting it and saying, this is just how I am, deal with it. Because in a sense, I am that way. But if enough people come to me and say, dude, you should really stop doing this or this because it may be harmful to you or to others, and if enough people are to say one particular thing, I'll realize that they're finding a flaw that may be true, and I can work on that, you know, rather than thinking, well, I'm too strong-willed and I don't need to listen to what anybody else says. So, I bid you all farewell, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm gonna get some stuff done, I swear I am today.